This morning, Mark chapter 3, and my title this morning is Miraculous Healings and Mind-Boggling Callings. Miraculous Healings and Mind-Boggling Callings. So in today's social media world, many of you, you're readily aware that there are people, there are influencers, and it's all about gathering some followers. Now, depending upon what platform, if it's Instagram or if it is what used to be called Twitter, now it's just called X, those people that are following you are indeed called followers. If you've got a Facebook account, all those people who are part of your group, they're called your friends. If you're a part of LinkedIn, then you've got connections on YouTube. You've got connections or subscribers in the connections on LinkedIn. Now, there are any number of reasons that you might follow somebody or somebody might follow you. Depending upon who you're following on one of those, you might be looking for that next family favorite recipe. You're trying to become a better chef, and so you're following people, and they mesmerize you with their latest creations. Or for some of you, you follow somebody because they are good at fixing stuff in the home, and you've got this project that you would like to accomplish, and so you're following them to learn how to do something. Some of you have, for example, a Facebook account because you want to know what's going on in somebody's life. You want to see pictures of somebody's kids who happen to be your grandkids. And so you don't know a thing about Facebook other than you've got about 3 or 4 families you follow because you want to see those pictures. Well, similarly, there are a variety of reasons why Jesus had followers. And early on, Jesus had a multitude of people who were following him for various reasons. When his teaching and preaching hit the scene, as it were, and word spread that we've never heard anybody speak, teach, preach like this man does, the crowd started growing. And then when Jesus started performing miracles, those crowds started to grow exponentially. But with the rise of his popularity also came an increase in hostility, an increase in those who wanted to do him harm. When Jesus had the audacity to tell a man that his sins were forgiven, the religious establishment, they declared him guilty of blasphemy. Only God can do that. And then next thing you know, Jesus, how in the world does he not have a right mind because he has asked a traitor by the name of Levi or Matthew to be a part of his inner circle? Oh, and then Jesus had the audacity to intentionally, repeatedly break the Sabbath, all the rules in conjunction with it, and when we left off last week, he even said that he was Lord over the Sabbath. That caused the Pharisees in particular to jump into bed, if you will, with the Herodians to plan Jesus's funeral. And so Jesus, being aware of that, and that's where we left off last week, he leaves that area there in Capernaum and he goes elsewhere. We see that there in verse 7 of our text. In verse 7 it reads, Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea. But that did not diminish Christ's popularity and the number of people who wanted access to him. And so like I often like to do with narrative texts, I've got 3 plot points I want to give you that will just take us through the text. And then I've got a number of, I think, very real, everyday life take-home truths that hopefully will encourage us and challenge us just the same. First, the gathering of the crowds. We see that happening in verses 7 to 10. Jesus withdrew with his disciples to the sea, and a great crowd followed him from Galilee and Judea and Jerusalem and Idumea and from beyond the Jordan and from around Tyre and Sidon. So Jesus' withdrawal to the Sea of Galilee is a smart move. If you're thinking just logistically, if you're thinking about strategy, it's a very smart move. If he is there on the shore of the Sea of Galilee, even though multitudes might throng around him, he's not as easy a target as he might have been on those super crowded streets in Capernaum. And so he moves to the sea. Jesus withdrew, but he still drew a very great crowd. Now, we have to wonder, why did these people from north, south, east, and west, from all around, why did they come? Verse 8, the latter part of it answers that question. When the great crowd heard all that he was doing, they came to him. Notice it did not say when the great crowd heard all that he was teaching, all that he was preaching. No, all that he was doing, they came. He's restoring sight to the blind, hearing to the deaf, strength to the weak. And just like people followed people on social media for a variety of reasons, Jesus was no different. And here's one of the biggest reasons they were following Jesus: what he could do for them, what he could do for them. As we learn over and over in the New Testament, some people are more interested in Jesus' blessings than they are his teachings. Some people are more interested in what Jesus can do for me than they are the fact that he could actually save their soul. Jesus explicitly stated this after the feeding of the 5,000. You may recall that after the feeding of the 5,000, the next day, a large gathering of people, probably in the thousands again, and Jesus said, "You are seeking me because you ate your fill of the loaves." Now, folks, the body is not more important than the soul. I will argue the soul is much more important than the body, but people tend to think the body's more important. Let me illustrate how I know that to be true. Let's suppose that we spent some significant money and we advertised on Facebook, Instagram, other social media platforms, maybe a couple of radio spots, maybe a couple of TV spots, and we advertised that this coming Sunday, 1 week from now, we're going to have a renowned healer. Just listen to the illustration. We're going to have a healer in our church, supposedly documented from his travels all around the world. He is going to be here. I guarantee you, we could fill this place up 3 times next weekend, guaranteed. If, however, instead of spending, let's just say $5,000 on advertising, we spent $30,000, and we advertised a humble but very effective evangelist, and he's going to be here. He's been all over the world, and he's going to be here and he's going to preach. I don't know if we'd see a tick up of attendance more than 1%. We have a tendency to be more concerned about our bodies than we are our souls. May I ask a question? Why'd you come this morning? Why did you come to our church this morning? Why are you following Jesus? Are you here because you believe Jesus could fix your marriage? Maybe fix your husband or your wife? Or maybe one of your kids? Did you come this morning because you're hoping that, maybe the Lord can get you a better job, better hours? Did you come maybe because you're in a heap of debt and you're hoping the Lord somehow can bail you out? Now, if you have to admit that one of those might be the reason you're here, look, I'm thrilled that you're here, because it could be that while your focus might have been on your body and how your life can be improved, maybe God has ordained this moment, surprisingly you may find out, to address your greater need, and that's your soul. Maybe the lover of your soul brought you here, and you being conscious of some tangible needs because he wants to save your soul. So regardless of why you came this morning, I hope you'll let God's Spirit, through the teaching and preaching of his word, speak to your heart, your soul, etc. And again, I would argue that the soul is more important, because Jesus said, "What will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and loses his soul?" Oh, my dear friends, you don't want to lose your soul. Now, if you died today, up there on the screen it says 11:08. If before it turns 11:09, you die, I know what's going to happen to your body. I know. If you're local, your body's going to go to Wilkerson's or Smith's funeral home or another funeral home. If you're not local, it'll go to some other place. And I know that thereafter your body's either going to be buried and decompose, or it's going to be burned. But what about your soul? You see, your body might be strong and healthy, but if your soul's not right with God, you're not prepared for eternity. So here are all of these possibly tens of thousands of people, and man, they've come to hear Jesus and what he can do for them. I hope you're here this morning for what Jesus can do for your soul. Back to our text. A massive crowd is gathered around Jesus, pressing in on him, and Jesus puts in an emergency escape plan. Notice verse 9. And he told his disciples to have a boat ready for him because of the crowd, lest they crush him, for he had healed many, so that all who had diseases pressed around him to touch him. Isn't it incredible? Jesus never met anybody with any disability that he was not able to completely and instantly heal. Never once did Jesus look at somebody like maybe some of those in our church family who are in the medical community. He never looked at somebody and said, ma'am, I'm so sorry, but there's nothing more I can do. Your son's case is hopeless. Your husband's case is hopeless. I'm sorry. No, without exception, anybody, regardless of where they came from, regardless of how severe, how long they had been afflicted, Jesus was able to completely heal them. He instantly restored eyes, ears, hands, feet, and bodies, and made people fully functional again. And so when the word spread, hey, guess what? You don't need an appointment. You don't have to wait in line necessarily. If you can just get your way through the crowd, all you have to do is touch him. Most of you know the story of the woman who had the bleeding issue, hemorrhaging. I mean, she, same way, man, if I can just touch it. And evidently that news spread, and man, people are here. And suddenly, some of Jesus' disciples are thrust into the role of security detail. Similarly to, we all saw it when now President Trump was, the attempt on his life made, attempted assassination. We all saw it, the bloody ear, and he's, man, those security people that get around him and they usher him down those steps and into probably a running SUV, take him off. Similarly, Jesus is telling his disciples, just imagine there are throngs of people just pressing in on him and touching him. And he says, hey guys, get a boat ready. Get a boat ready lest these people crush me. Now, there were times